Why in 2020 should we read T.S. Eliot? T.S. Eliot published most of his famous works around a century ago, a time long since past, a time of unrest, a time of change, a time of existential fear, a time not unlike our own. Eliot was a prolific poet following World War I. His modernist poetry broke many poetic conventions and met critical and commercial success. Although his work was polarizing and was ill-received by some poetry elitists, Eliot was presented with an abundance of prestigious awards for his textual integrity and exploration of dark, relevant themes. His poetry focused on the modernist movement and included complementary themes of purposelessness, loneliness, death, oppression, and the general human condition. His poems, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock, Preludes, and Rhapsody on a Windy Night, deeply explore these universal themes which are all very relevant today. His poems, The Love Song of J. Alfred Prufrock and Rhapsody on a Windy Night, both focus on a bitter, lonely man as he comes to terms with the changing world and contemplates his place in society. J. Alfred Prufrock is the persona of a modern man. He is plagued by anxiety and inaction. His character illustrates the insecurity and loneliness of modern people and highlights the fact that although we are more connected than ever, we have lost our ability to relate to each other and make meaningful connections. The evolution of women in society post-World War I has left Prufrock unable to relate to them. The reoccurring line,
"In the room, the women come and go, talking of Michelangelo,"
uses metaphor to illustrate Prufrock's disrespect for women, as he sees them as pseudo-intellectuals who are just talking about Renaissance artists to look more intelligent. Prufrock also feels emasculated by the women, as Michelangelo is seen as the archetypal perfect man, which Prufrock can't compete with, as he sees himself as aging and unattractive.
"With a bald spot in the middle of my hair, they will say how his hair is growing thin."
The theme of aging and the inevitability of death is a common theme in many of Eliot's poems. Rhapsody on a Windy Night follows the protagonist as he walks through the lamplit streets and contemplates his life and inevitable death. Dark memories pass through the protagonist's mind as he walks through the night.
"The memory throws up high and dry a crowd of twisted things."
This alludes to the experience of life flashing before your eyes as you're dying. He meanders through the streets aimlessly, following the directions of talking street lamps.
The street lamp sputtered, the street lamp muttered, the street lamp said, "Regard that woman who hesitates towards you in the light of the door which opens on her like a grin."
This personification highlights the purposelessness of life as people live without thinking, being solely motivated by the environment and the will of others, without stopping to contemplate the meaning of it all. Eliot's poem Preludes describes the endless monotonous cycle of the modern worker, fueling the ever-greedy capitalist machine, which continues today in trading the lives of the worker for profit. The second stanza outlines the life of a worker as they prepare for their day.
"The morning comes to consciousness of faint, stale smells of beer from the sawdust-trampled street, with all its muddy feet that press to early coffee stands. With the other masquerades that time resumes, one thinks of all the hands that are raising dingy shades in 1,000 furnished rooms."
In this stanza, Eliot highlights how thousands of workers are unaware of their own oppression. They are distracted with material luxuries like beer and coffee, preventing them from seeing the physical and psychological damage inflicted by their modern lives and working conditions. This is reinforced in the third stanza.
Sitting along the bed's edge where you curled the papers from your hair, or clasped the yellow soles of feet in the palms of both soiled hands.
Here, the calming imagery of someone curling their hair is juxtaposed with the raw, organic imagery of overworked, fatigued appendages. The pronoun is changed to you, which forces the reader to reflect on their own life and further empathize with the text. Eliot's poetry explores dark, relevant themes which were shaped by the horrors of World War I and the growing fears and uncertainties of modernism. The themes and motifs he explores are universal, and the complex characters can resonate with any audience. Eliot challenged prior literary traditions, and in doing so created a new way of coping with a changing world. Eliot met a mixed reception in his time for his unorthodox poetic structure, but today is recognized as a revolutionary and is praised for his textual integrity. To sum up, we should read T.S. Eliot because we can all learn from the way he expertly explores complex universal themes and ideas, which are more relevant today than ever before.